Welcome back for round 2 of the sweltering streets of Chengdu. I say it's sweltering in a sort of endearing way. It's kind of like going to Honolulu. Not the ocean part, we're far from the ocean here. It's just so hot and humid that you kind of give up on doing anything about it. The many historical events centered in this place, going back millennia, somehow make it worth the discomfort. At least for me, that is. I think the local residents have made peace with the heat and humidity as well. This is just how it is here. In either case, we're packing into the metro and making our way to Jinli Street. Ancient cities have ancient streets, and this place has apparently been a popular tourist destination for longer than some of our countries have existed. Luckily today we have the metro to get around. I've made peace with the heat, but it's still nice to get some AC here and there. We're welcomed to this ancient attraction by a gate, which is often the case here in China. I don't know that it's the gate the ancient poets would have seen as they were doing their sightseeing, but we can imagine to ourselves they saw something like that. Along the street is Wuhou Temple. Word has it that this place has a history going back 1700 years, and that it was never vandalized. I don't know how it made it past the Red Guards, screaming slogans about the evils of the Four Olds, this place being so old and all, but it's still here. I'm told the architectural style is of northern China, but I'm afraid to Western eyes it's all different, amazing, and undiscernible as being from another region. I guess if you want to sound smart, you can throw that into a conversation at some point. It's beautiful anyway, and there's a lot going on ritual-wise. I'm not a Buddhist, so I don't know exactly how it works, but I hope some of the prayers are going out for world peace. The temple came about during the Three Kingdoms period in Chinese history, when this was part of the Shu Kingdom. It's also the mausoleum of Liu Bei, an emperor of those not forgotten times. Not a bad headstone, I must say. Back on the street, there's a lot going on. Everywhere you look, there's another shop or tea house and someone calling out for your attention to be on their high-quality wares. This city is famous for its tea houses and gardens. Later on, we'll make a proper visit to a tea garden. But for now, let's have a look at a tea house here in old Chengdu. It's a beautiful setting to sit and enjoy a nice conversation over a drink of some kind. I'm not sure I would opt for the piping hot tea considering the weather, but I guess that's the way they do things here. Outside of tea, there are also plenty of incredibly spicy snacks to choose from. As I mentioned in the last video, I halfway wonder if the spicy food is an attempt at masking the weather. If your mouth is on fire, you won't be focused on the rest of your body melting from the heat and humidity. It's crowded here, that's for sure, and not just because this is a mega city. Chengdu is a popular tourist destination for people across China. Many of the people walking around here today are tourists like us. Tourists get a bad name, but the crowd really gives this place a nice energy. If you have this many people out enjoying themselves, it sort of spreads, and you can't help but enjoy yourself too. I mentioned that we would be making a proper visit to a tea garden. For that, we have come to the People's Park. That's what it's called. There are a lot of things that belong to the people here in China. I'm glad they're so welcoming to people like myself who hail from outside of the Middle Kingdom. Either way, they have a very lovely tea garden. It's also a very popular tea garden, hence the multitude of people all crowding in for a snack and some tea. For some reason, I associate drinking tea in gardens with quiet relaxation. I suppose I could have misunderstood the sign at the entrance. Maybe this is called the People's Tea Garden because all the people are here. The crowd doesn't matter so much. It's still a great atmosphere to enjoy with family and friends. A snack is great for holding one over between meals, but that's about it. We're hopping on a modern-day rickshaw to another part of town for some proper Sichuan food. Sitting here, I'm suddenly reminded of an old Chinese movie I once saw. It's a bit different from the Chinese takeout place back home, despite the fact their sign says authentic Sichuan food. This real stuff is spicy enough to strip paint off the walls. We're eating something called huoguo, or hot pot. It's a pretty good description. At the center of the table is a boiling pot of spicy stuff. Into the hot pot you place a variety of uncooked vegetables and meats chosen from the menu.
This is so spicy.
Once they've stewed a bit, you eat them. Kuanzhai Alley goes by another name, Wide and Narrow Alley. I guess that's because despite its being quite wide for an alley, you wouldn't know it once pressed into this crowd. It dates back to the Qing dynasty, which happens to be the last dynasty. The buildings are in the ancient style, and I'm sure it was just as lively back in the day. The air is thick with the smell of spicy snacks and the sound of shop owners competing for tourist money. The alley at night is a feast for the eyes. The spirit of the ancient shop owners seems to inhabit every structure, continuing their calls for your business in the form of the beautiful architecture. The night is getting old, and it's time to catch a cab back to the room. Tomorrow's the last day in Chengdu. It's the morning of the last day, and we're going to see some pandas. Pandas are a popular symbol here in China, and Chengdu is sort of the epicenter of all things panda. With that in mind, I guess we couldn't leave the city without checking out the Giant Panda Research Center. Did I mention how popular pandas are in China? There are supposedly some star pandas here that will respond to their name, but the line was just impossible. It's just as well. The star panda of the place decided it was too hot and went into the air conditioning. It seems the pandas have more sense than all of us humans out here boiling away, though we did manage to catch a few outside snacking. All the rest took to the AC, so the crowd followed, and we followed them. You know there's a panda when the phones come out. It's a signal to get your camera ready, but you're going to have to fight for a spot. We'd love to stick around to see a few more panda friends, but we've got a flight to catch. It's time to make our way back down and hop in a cab. So that's Chengdu. At least as much of it as we were able to fit into 3 days. See you in the next one.